The endless expanse of space shimmered with the crystalline forms of the Starweaver vessels as they emerged from their quantum fold near the Orion Arm. Their ships resembled delicate sculptures of ice and starlight, each one a masterpiece of alien engineering that had taken centuries to perfect. The flagship, Morning Prism, led the fleet of 30 vessels, their translucent hulls refracting distant starlight into rainbow cascades. Admiral Nexus stood on the command deck, his iridescent scales shifting colors with each movement as he studied the holographic display before him. The sensors had detected something unusual, a small group of human colony ships moving through the sector. The Admiral's 4 eyes narrowed as the initial scans filtered through the ship's quantum processors. Curious, he mused, his melodic voice carrying across the bridge. These vessels appear to be using simple fusion drives, primitive electromagnetic shielding. No quantum harmonics. A slight smile played across his features, revealing rows of pearl-like teeth. They're practically children playing with toys. The human ships moved in a tight formation, 5 vessels of identical design, each one barely a quarter the size of the Morning Prism. Their hulls were dark and angular, lacking the artistic refinement that the Starweavers prided themselves on. Energy readings suggested basic life support systems and what appeared to be rudimentary weapon arrays. "Open a channel to their lead vessel," Admiral Nexus commanded. "Let's see how these humans respond to their betters." The communication officer, her crystalline headpiece glowing with neural activity, established the connection. The Admiral straightened his ceremonial robes, ensuring the constellation of achievement crystals across his chest caught the light properly. The human captain appeared on the main view screen. She was younger than the Admiral expected, with dark skin and eyes that seemed to evaluate everything they saw. Her uniform was simple, unadorned, another sign of their cultural inferiority, Nexus thought. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Expeditionary Force," she announced, her voice steady and professional. "You've entered human-controlled space. Please identify yourselves." Admiral Nexus allowed himself a small laugh, the sound like chimes in the wind. "My dear Captain, I believe you misunderstand the situation. I am Admiral Nexus of the Starweaver Collective. Our civilization has traversed the stars for 10,000 years. Your species has barely learned to leave your planet." He gestured, and detailed scans of the human vessels appeared beside him. "Your ships are centuries behind ours in every measurable way. We've detected no quantum shielding, no dark energy matrices, not even basic consciousness integration systems. For your own safety and development, we must insist that you submit to our guidance." Captain Chen's expression remained neutral, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "With respect, Admiral, we decline your offer. This sector falls under Earth jurisdiction, and we—" "Jurisdiction," Nexus interrupted, his scales flashing with amusement. "Your vessels possess the technological sophistication of children's toys. Your weapons, if we can call them that, would barely scratch our secondary shielding." His voice took on a more patronizing tone. "We're offering you an opportunity to learn from a superior civilization. The alternative would be unfortunate." The human captain's response was cut short as Nexus signaled his communications officer to mute the transmission. He turned to his tactical commander, whose crystalline armor rippled with embedded data streams. "Deploy the fleet in standard containment formation," he ordered. "Let's show these humans the true meaning of space warfare. Once they witness even a fraction of our capability, they'll understand the futility of resistance." As the Starweaver ships began to move, their crystalline forms catching and refracting starlight like a dance of cosmic jewels, Admiral Nexus noticed something peculiar. The human vessels had begun to move as well, breaking their tight formation in what appeared to be completely random directions. "How amusing," he commented, watching the human ships scatter. "They don't even know proper retreat protocols." He settled into his command chair, prepared to oversee what he assumed would be a brief and unremarkable demonstration of Starweaver superiority. He had no way of knowing that this moment would be remembered in history as the beginning of the Starweaver's greatest miscalculation. The crystalline displays aboard the Morning Prism tracked 5 distinct vapor trails as the human vessels scattered in seemingly random vectors. Admiral Nexus watched with growing amusement as the ships broke formation, each choosing a different heading through the star-speckled void. Their engine signatures pulse erratically, suggesting either panic or incompetence, perhaps both. "Look at them flee," Second Commander Lyra commented, her scales shifting to a shade of smug azure. "They don't even maintain proper retreat vectors. It's as if they've never studied basic space combat doctrine." Captain Chen's image had long since vanished from their communication screen, replaced by a tactical overlay showing the human ship's increasingly chaotic flight paths. One vessel dove toward a nearby asteroid field, while another spiraled toward a distant nebula. The remaining 3 chose equally puzzling escape routes, each one defying standard military logic. "Fascinating," Admiral Nexus mused, his voice carrying a note of intellectual curiosity. "In 10,000 years of space warfare, I've never seen such an undisciplined retreat." He rose from his command chair, his ceremonial robes catching the light from nearby consoles. "Perhaps we should study their behavior before we subdue them. It might make an interesting footnote in our anthropological databases." The Admiral gestured at the tactical display, his long fingers trailing streams of light through the holographic interface. "Divide our forces. 5 pursuit groups, 6 ships each. Let's make this educational for our junior officers, a practical demonstration of proper space warfare techniques." The Starweaver fleet split apart with practiced precision, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight in a choreographed dance of pursuit. Each group adopted a perfect geometric formation, their movements synchronized down to the microsecond. This was how proper space combat should look, Nexus thought. Elegant, coordinated, refined. Pursuit Group Gamma reporting unusual readings. A communication officer announced, "The human vessel they're chasing appears to be leaking plasma." Nexus glided to the sensor station, his scales rippling with interest. "Damage to their containment systems, no doubt. Their technology is so primitive, I'm surprised they can maintain basic fusion control." More reports began filtering in from the other pursuit groups. One human ship was experiencing apparent navigation system failures, its course becoming increasingly erratic. Another had shut down several primary systems, possibly due to power management issues. The fourth was releasing irregular bursts of electromagnetic interference, while the fifth had begun ejecting what appeared to be cargo pods. "They're falling apart without us even engaging them," Second Commander Lyra observed, her scales now showing traces of disappointment. "This won't even qualify as a proper battle for our records." But something about the situation nagged at Admiral Nexus's centuries of tactical experience. The scattered debris, the erratic movements, the apparently malfunctioning systems, it all seemed too convenient. He studied the tactical display more closely, noting how each human vessel, despite its apparent problems, was drawing its pursuit group further from the main fleet. "Magnify Sector 739, he commanded suddenly. The holographic display zoomed in on a particular section of space where one human ship had recently passed. For just a moment, he thought he saw something. A subtle distortion in the starfield, perhaps a flicker of. The tactical officer's scales flashed urgent crimson. "Admiral, we're detecting new energy signatures. They're everywhere." Nexus whirled to face the main display just as dozens of small objects began decloaking around his scattered fleet. They emerged from asteroid shadows, from debris fields, from what they had dismissed as background radiation sources, small, sleek, and definitely of human design. "Impossible," Lyra whispered, her scales pale with shock. "Our scans showed no support craft, no drone capabilities, nothing that could." Admiral Nexus's 4 eyes widened as he realized the truth. The entire retreat had been choreographed. Every erratic movement, every apparent malfunction, had served to position his forces exactly where the humans wanted them. They hadn't been fleeing in panic. They had been executing a precisely planned tactical dispersion. "All ships," he commanded, his voice sharp with urgency, "reform on the flagship immediately. This isn't a retreat, it's an ambush." But as his scattered fleet began to respond, he realized with growing dread that it might already be too late. Deep within the shimmering curtain of engineered stardust, Chief Engineer Maya Santos stood at the central command hub of the Stellar Forge. Her dark eyes reflected the countless holographic displays surrounding her position, each one showing real-time data from the ongoing battle. The massive chamber hummed with energy as quantum computers processed tactical information from the scattered human fleet. "Manufacturing Bays 1 through 12 report ready status," her assistant called out, fingers dancing across multiple interfaces. "Asteroid processing at maximum capacity. Material conversion rate at 98% efficiency." Maya allowed herself a small smile as she watched the Starweaver ships falling into their trap. The aliens' arrogance had made them predictable, exactly as Strategic Command had anticipated. She turned her attention to the massive viewing window that spanned the length of the command center, offering a clear view of the Stellar Forge's true scale. The vessel defied conventional shipbuilding logic. Instead of focusing on weapons or armor, humanity had spent 20 years creating something unprecedented. A mobile manufacturing center capable of transforming raw space material into combat-ready vessels within hours. Its spine stretched 12 kilometers, housing a series of automated manufacturing bays that could simultaneously construct multiple ship classes. "Engineering Team Alpha reports quantum core stability at optimal levels," another technician announced. "The Starheart is maintaining perfect containment." At the center of the Stellar Forge, a carefully controlled stellar fragment powered the entire operation. While other species had focused on harnessing dark energy or antimatter, humanity had achieved what they thought impossible. They had learned to contain and utilize a piece of a living star. Maya's communicator chimed with an incoming transmission from Captain Chen. "Chief Engineer, the Starweavers have taken the bait. All pursuit groups are now beyond their effective support range. Are we ready to proceed with Phase 2? "The Forge is at full operational capacity, Captain," Maya responded, her voice steady despite the excitement building in her chest. "All manufacturing bays are primed. Raw material stores are at maximum. We can begin production the moment you give the word." Through the massive window, she could see the fruits of their preparation. Dozens of asteroids, carefully positioned over the past months, waited in precisely calculated orbits around the Stellar Forge. Each one had been specifically chosen for its mineral composition, ready to be broken down and reconstructed into whatever vessels they needed. "Initiating Stardust Curtain Dissipation," Maya commanded, powering up main manufacturing arrays. Beginning final system checks. The engineered particles that had hidden them from the Starweaver's sensors started to disperse, creating a breathtaking display of light and color. As the curtain thinned, the Stellar Forge's true form began to emerge from its cosmic camouflage. Maya remembered the decades of work that had led to this moment. While other species had raced to build bigger weapons and stronger shields, humanity had taken a different approach. They had created a ship that could adapt, that could analyze enemy weaknesses and manufacture specific countermeasures within hours. "All systems show green," her assistant reported. "Manufacturing templates uploaded and verified. Drone control networks online. We're ready to begin production at your command." Through the tactical displays, Maya watched as the first wave of hidden human drones engaged the scattered Starweaver fleet. The alien superior ships suddenly found themselves surrounded by swarms of smaller craft, each one specifically designed to probe their defenses and gather combat data. Signal from Captain Chin, a communications officer announced. "We are authorized to begin full production. Priority on Type 7 interceptors and Phantom-class electronic warfare vessels." Maya took a deep breath, then spoke the words that would change the course of the battle. "Initialize full manufacturing sequence. All bays, commence simultaneous production. Let's show our visitors what human engineering can really do. The stellar forge awakened fully, its massive form humming with power as automated systems began breaking down the waiting asteroids. Within minutes, the first new vessels would emerge from its manufacturing base, each one specifically designed to counter Starweaver technology. The time for hiding was over. Now, humanity would reveal its true strength. Captain Sarah Chen watched from her command chair as the tactical display filled with hundreds of new signatures. The supposedly primitive human vessels had just activated their true capabilities, each one revealing itself as a sophisticated command hub for dozens of stealth drones. The captain allowed herself a small smile as she remembered Admiral Nexus's condescending words about children's toys. All drone squadrons reporting active status, her tactical officer announced. Quantum entanglement networks fully operational. The Starweavers are completely surrounded. The elegant crystal ships of the alien fleet now found themselves caught in a web of their own making. Their pursuit formations, so perfect in their geometric precision, had become a liability. Each group was isolated from the others, cut off by clouds of human combat drones that seemed to materialize from every shadow and void. Begin Phase 3, Chen ordered, her voice calm but firm. Tactical analysis of all enemy vessels. I want real-time data on their shield frequencies, weapon configurations, and power distribution patterns. The drones moved with synchronized precision, their movements coordinated through quantum networks that made traditional communication delays irrelevant. They probed the Starweaver defenses with quick, calculated strikes, not to destroy, but to gather data. Each engagement provided valuable information about the aliens' capabilities. From Pursuit Group Alpha, Admiral Nexus's voice crackled across the command channel, his previous smugness replaced by barely contained fury. This deception dishonors the ancient traditions of space combat. Face us in proper ship-to-ship battle. With respect, Admiral, Chen responded, keeping her tone professional. You might want to reconsider your position on proper combat. She nodded to her communications officer, who activated a general broadcast to all human forces. Execute Pattern Sigma 7. The swarms of drones shifted their formation with fluid grace. What had appeared to be random clusters suddenly aligned into precise geometric patterns, creating overlapping fields of fire that trapped each Starweaver group in a three-dimensional cage of potential attack vectors. Multiple enemy vessels attempting emergency quantum jumps. The sensor officer reported, activating localized space-time anchors. Another gift from human innovation. Portable devices that could temporarily prevent faster-than-light travel within a designated area. The Starweavers found their escape routes cut off as invisible fields of warped space-time trapped them in normal space. Chen studied the tactical display with careful attention. The Starweaver ships were beautiful, their crystalline forms reflecting starlight like cosmic jewels, but their design emphasized aesthetics over practicality. The humans had spent months analyzing similar vessels, identifying structural weaknesses hidden beneath the elegant exterior. New contact. The sensor officer suddenly called out. Massive energy spike from Pursuit Group Delta. They're charging their primary weapons. Right on schedule, Chen murmured. She opened a channel to all human vessels. All ships, execute defensive protocol Echo 9. Drone squadrons, implement countermeasure package Delta. The Starweaver vessels unleashed a devastating barrage of quantum-enhanced energy weapons, their crystalline hulls channeling power in dazzling displays of light and force. But the human drones were already moving, their formations shifting to create overlapping fields of electromagnetic interference that diffused and redirected the alien attacks. Minimal damage to drone squadrons 3 and 7, Tactical reported. All other units reporting optimal status. Enemy weapon configurations logged and analyzed. Chen leaned forward in her command chair. Send the combat data to the Stellar Forge. It's time to show them what human engineering can really do. She paused, then added, and open a channel to Admiral Nexus. The alien commander's image appeared on her screen, his scales now a mottled pattern of confusion and anger. Before he could speak, Chen continued, "Admiral, I believe you mentioned something about teaching us proper space warfare. If you'll direct your attention to Sector 973, I think you'll find today's lesson rather enlightening." Through the command viewport, the engineered stardust curtain began to dissipate, revealing humanity's greatest achievement. The stellar forge emerged from its cosmic veil, its massive form dwarfing everything in the battlefield. As manufacturing bays along its length began to glow with activity, Shen saw the first flicker of genuine fear cross the alien admiral's features. The real battle was about to begin. The stellar forge dominated the battlefield like a metal leviathan awakening from ancient slumber. Its manufacturing bays blazed with light as asteroid matter streamed into its processing centers, transformed by technologies that the Starweavers had dismissed as impossible. Chief Engineer Maya Santos coordinated the massive operation from her command station, watching as the first wave of newly constructed vessels emerged from the facility. Processing Bay 1 through 6, initiating launch sequence, she announced, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. Deploying first wave of Phantom-class electronic warfare ships. The vessels that emerged bore little resemblance to traditional human designs. Each one incorporated real-time analysis of Starweaver technology, their systems specifically calibrated to exploit weaknesses in the alien defenses. They moved with predatory grace, their hulls incorporating metamaterials that bent light and sensor readings around them. Admiral Nexus's voice crackled across all frequencies, his previous confidence shattered. "What manner of deception is this? Your species possesses no such manufacturing capabilities." Manufacturing Bays 7 through 12, commencing launch. Maya responded by launching another wave of ships. These were Striker-class interceptors, designed to slip through the gaps in Starweaver shield geometries that the drone swarms had identified. Captain Chen's voice came through on a secure channel. "Status report on production capacity. The Starheart is performing beyond expectations," Maya replied, watching as energy readings from the contained stellar fragment remained stable. "Material conversion rate at 100%. We can maintain this production schedule for the next 72 hours if needed." Through the command center's viewport, Maya watched as automated systems dismantled nearby asteroids with surgical precision. Raw matter flowed into the stellar forge's processing centers in carefully regulated streams, emerging as components that assembled themselves into complete vessels through quantum-guided fabrication. New Starweaver energy signatures detected, a sensor operator called out. "They're attempting to combine their ship's power outputs for a concentrated attack." Maya smiled slightly. "Deploy the mirror-class defensive screens." At her command, a new type of vessel emerged from the manufacturing base. These ships were designed for a single purpose, to capture and redirect energy weapons back at their source. The Starweavers launched their coordinated assault, their crystalline ships channeling power into a devastating beam of concentrated quantum energy. The attack struck the mirror-class vessels head-on, and for a moment, the space between the fleets blazed brighter than a newborn star. Then, impossibly, the energy began to flow backward. Quantum reflection arrays functioning at optimal levels, Maya reported, watching as the Starweaver's own attack turned against them. Several alien vessels broke formation to avoid the reflected weapon fire, their perfect geometric patterns dissolving into chaos. "Launch the disruptor squadrons," Captain Chen ordered. "Let's show them what else we've been working on." The next wave of ships to emerge from the stellar forge looked almost organic in design. They carried specialized field generators designed to interfere with the crystalline structure of Starweaver hulls, based on analysis of debris from previous encounters. Maya watched the tactical display as the battle unfolded. The Starweaver fleet's formation had completely broken down, their ships scattered and isolated. Each new vessel that emerged from the stellar forge represented another counter to their technology, another solution to their supposed superiority. "We're detecting multiple hull breaches in enemy vessels," Tactical reported. "Their crystal matrices are destabilizing under our targeted attacks." Through it all, the Stellar Forge continued its relentless production. Each manufactured ship joined the battle with perfect coordination, their actions guided by quantum computers that processed combat data in real time. The massive facility had become a testament to human ingenuity, not just in its ability to create ships, but in its demonstration of a completely different approach to space warfare. Final production sequence initiating, Maya announced, her voice carrying a note of pride. Launching command-class coordination vessels, all systems performing at maximum efficiency. The Stellar Forge had proven itself to be more than just a manufacturing center. It was humanity's answer to the age-old question of how to win a space war, not through brute force or superior numbers, but through adaptation, innovation, and the ability to counter any threat in real time. Second Commander Lyra's scales shifted to a sickly pale shade as she studied the sensor readings on the Morning Prism's bridge. The data couldn't be correct. It defied everything she knew about human technological capabilities. She ran the analysis again, her fingers trembling slightly as they moved across the crystalline interface. "Admiral," she called out, her voice unsteady. "These readings, the human ships we initially scanned, they were never what they appeared to be." Admiral Nexus moved to her station, his own scales now a mottled pattern of confusion and concern. The sensor display showed layer upon layer of deception. Quantum metamaterials that had fooled their initial scans, engineered sensor echoes that had masked true power signatures, and hull designs that had deliberately projected an image of technological inferiority. "Impossible," he whispered, but the evidence was undeniable. "Show me the real readings." The tactical display updated, revealing the true nature of the human vessels. What they had dismissed as primitive fusion drives were actually contained plasma streams, precisely calibrated to mimic less advanced technology. The supposedly basic electromagnetic shielding was, in fact, a sophisticated array of quantum field generators that could adapt to any attack pattern. Their entire fleet was a deception, Lyra reported, her voice mixing awe with fear. Even their communication systems, what we thought were simple radio transmissions, were actually carrying quantum-encrypted data streams beneath the surface. Through the command viewport, they watched as another wave of ships emerged from the Stellar Forge. Each vessel's hull rippled with adaptive camouflage, the metal itself seeming to flow and shift like liquid mercury. The humans hadn't just matched Starweaver technology. They had developed it in entirely different directions. New energy signature detected. A sensor officer called out. "The human mothership. It's powered by what?" Nexus demanded. "A contained stellar fragment," Lyra finished, her scales paling further. "They've achieved microstar containment, the one technology our scientists declared impossible." The Admiral's four eyes widened as he processed this information. The humans hadn't just hidden their true capabilities. They had mastered technologies that the Starweavers had abandoned as too dangerous or impractical. While his people had focused on perfecting existing techniques, humanity had been innovating in ways they never imagined. "Sir," the weapons officer interrupted, "our crystal resonance cannons are having no effect. Their ships' hulls appear to be incorporating some kind of quantum disruption field. It's as if they studied our weapon systems and designed specific countermeasures." Because they did, Lyra realized, reviewing more sensor data. Those initial drone attacks, they weren't just combat maneuvers. They were gathering tactical data. Every engagement has given them more information about our systems. Admiral Nexus watched as another Starweaver vessel succumbed to the human attack, its crystalline hull shattered by precisely targeted energy pulses. The humans had turned his fleet's greatest strength, their sophisticated crystal technology, into a vulnerability. Multiple hull breaches detected across the fleet, the damage control officer reported. "Our crystal matrices are destabilizing faster than we can repair them." These humans, they're not just fighting us, they're taking our own technology apart piece by piece. Through it all, the Stellar Forge continued its relentless production. Each new ship that emerged seemed specifically designed to counter another aspect of Starweaver technology. The humans had created not just a manufacturing center, but a real-time combat adaptation system. "Admiral," Lyra said quietly, "I believe we may have gravely misunderstood the nature of human technological development." Nexus could only watch as his magnificent fleet, the pride of the Starweaver Collective, was systematically dismantled by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. The humans hadn't built bigger or more powerful ships. They had reimagined the very nature of space combat. As another wave of specialized human vessels moved to engage his scattered forces, Admiral Nexus realized that this defeat would reshape more than just military doctrine. It would force his entire civilization to reconsider their understanding of progress, innovation, and the true meaning of technological superiority. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the tactical command station, watching as the battle reached its decisive phase. The Starweaver fleet had splintered into isolated groups, their once perfect formations now broken by waves of specialized human vessels. Each alien ship found itself surrounded by precisely targeted countermeasures, their supposedly superior technology turned against them. The Stellar Forge reports completion of tactical analysis, her executive officer announced. They've identified 27 distinct vulnerabilities in Starweaver crystal matrix technology. Manufacturing bays are producing exploiter units now. Through the main viewport, Chen watched as the latest wave of ships emerged from the massive facility. These new vessels were smaller than their predecessors, but their design incorporated everything they had learned about Starweaver weaknesses. They moved like silver needles through space, each one targeting specific points in the alien ship's crystal structures. Multiple Starweaver vessels showing critical system failures, Tactical reported. Their shield geometries are collapsing under targeted disruption fields. Admiral Nexus's voice cut through the command channel, strained but still carrying a hint of his former pride. You pursue this victory without honor. Your deceptions and tricks mock the ancient traditions of space combat. Chen allowed herself a small smile as she responded. Admiral, there's an old human saying. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. We chose to master efficiency over raw power. The results speak for themselves. The tactical display showed the full scope of the battle. Human drone networks had created a three-dimensional web around each Starweaver group, coordinated by quantum computers that could predict and counter any attempted maneuver. The Stellar Forge continued its relentless production, each new ship adding another layer to their overwhelming tactical advantage. Engineering reports from captured Starweaver debris, her science officer called out. Their crystal technology is remarkably advanced, but rigid in its application. They never considered the vulnerabilities we're exploiting because they were too focused on perfecting their existing systems. Chen nodded, understanding the fundamental difference between human and Starweaver approaches to technology. While the aliens had spent centuries refining their crystal-based systems to perfection, humanity had embraced adaptation and flexibility. The Stellar Forge itself was proof of this philosophy, a ship that could analyze enemy technology and produce specific counters in real time. Ma'am, communications interrupted. We're detecting unusual power signatures from the remaining Starweaver vessels. They appear to be attempting some kind of synchronized energy discharge. Right on schedule, Chen replied calmly. Deploy the Mirror-class vessels in pattern Delta. Let's show them what happens when you rely too heavily on predictable tactics. The Starweavers launched their desperate attack, their remaining ships channeling power into a massive, coordinated blast of crystal-focused energy. For a moment, the battlefield lit up with the combined power of 30 crystalline warships giving everything they had. The human Mirror-class vessels moved into position, their quantum reflection arrays spinning up to full power. The massive energy discharge struck their defensive screens and seemed to pause for a fraction of a second before being redirected back at the Starweaver fleet with devastating precision. Enemy fleet reporting critical damage across all vessels, Tactical announced. Their crystal matrices are destabilizing faster than they can compensate. We have them, Captain. Chen opened a general broadcast channel. Admiral Nexus, your fleet is surrounded, outnumbered, and outmaneuvered. Your weapons are ineffective, your defenses have been compromised, and we are continuing to produce specialized countermeasures to any strategy you might attempt. I'm offering you one chance to surrender. The command deck fell silent as they waited for the alien commander's response. Through the viewport, the Stellar Forge continued its work, another wave of ships emerging from its manufacturing base, a reminder of humanity's unstoppable production capability. Finally, Admiral Nexus's voice came through, his tone carrying the weight of a civilization forced to confront its own assumptions. Perhaps we have something to learn from humanity after all. Chen's expression remained neutral, but her eyes showed a glimmer of satisfaction. The real victory wasn't in defeating the Starweavers, it was in making them understand that there was more than one path to technological advancement. 24 hours after the battle, Admiral Nexus stood in the Stellar Forge's main observation deck, his scales shifting through shades of wonder as he watched human engineers at work. The massive facility had transformed from a weapon of war into a center of technological exchange, its manufacturing base now producing experimental hybrid vessels that combined human adaptability with Starweaver crystal technology. The crystalline resonance patterns are stabilizing, Chief Engineer Maya Santos explained, gesturing to a holographic display. By incorporating your focusing techniques into our quantum field generators, we've achieved power efficiencies that neither of our species managed alone. The Admiral's 4 eyes studied the technical readouts, his expression thoughtful. In 10,000 years of space exploration, we never considered using crystal matrices this way. We were so focused on perfecting our existing methods that we stopped looking for alternatives. Captain Chen joined them at the observation window, watching as a prototype ship emerged from one of the manufacturing bays. Its hull combined the elegant crystalline structures of Starweaver design with the adaptive metamaterials of human engineering. The vessel gleamed in the starlight, a physical representation of what their species could achieve together. Your civilization mastered the art of crystal harmonics, Chen noted, while we focused on adaptation and efficiency. Neither approach was wrong. They were just different paths to the same goal. Through the viewport, they could see teams of human and Starweaver engineers working together on the prototype vessel systems. The aliens' natural affinity for crystal technology complemented human innovation in unexpected ways, leading to breakthroughs that would have been impossible for either species alone. The collective will need time to adjust to these new ideas, Nexus admitted, his scales showing hints of embarrassment. We have built our society around the belief that there is one perfect way to achieve technological advancement. Your people have shown us that progress can take many forms. Maya brought up another holographic display, showing the results of their latest experiments. We've already identified 37 potential applications for combined human Starweaver technology. The Stellar Forge isn't just a shipyard anymore. It's becoming a laboratory for interspecies innovation. The prototype ship began its first test maneuvers, its hybrid systems performing beyond all expectations. The vessel moved with both the grace of Starweaver design and the adaptability of human engineering, representing the first step toward a new era of space exploration. Your manufacturing capabilities are remarkable, Nexus observed, watching the facility's automated systems at work. But what truly sets humanity apart is your willingness to question established principles. Every defeat we suffered in battle came not from superior firepower, but from approaches we never imagined. Captain Chen smiled slightly. The greatest victory isn't in winning the battle, Admiral. It's in what we build together afterward. The Stellar Forge was designed to be more than a weapon. It's a tool for turning ideas into reality. As if to emphasize her point, another bay activated, beginning construction of a new vessel. This one incorporated lessons learned from the prototype, its design already evolving based on real-time performance data. The facility's adaptive manufacturing systems allowed them to implement improvements immediately, each ship better than the last. I will recommend to the collective that we establish a permanent technological exchange program, Nexus declared, his scales shifting to show sincere commitment. Our species have much to learn from each other. Maya nodded in agreement. We've already begun modifying the Stellar Forge's production facilities to accommodate joint research projects. The manufacturing bays can be reconfigured for experimental designs, and the quantum computers are being upgraded to process both human and Starweaver engineering principles. Through the observation window, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The battle that had begun with arrogance and misunderstanding had transformed into an opportunity for unprecedented cooperation. As human and Starweaver engineers continued their work below, the prototype ship completed its test flight, its hybrid systems promising a future neither species could have achieved alone. The Stellar Forge, once humanity's greatest secret, had become a symbol of something far more powerful than any weapon: the ability to turn adversaries into allies through the shared pursuit of innovation.